In a mining colonial prison, dozens of prisoners are forced to work every day with a special device covering their mouths that prevents them from speaking. When a machine called a crusher breaks down, a guard calls inmate Kai to repair it. Within minutes, Kai had the machine working again. Suddenly, the guards bring in a new prisoner and everyone is shocked to see Hatch, the general who lost the Civil War to General Lang. A former rebel stood up when he saw his general and the guard immediately beat him. The prisoner retaliated with a headbutt and another prisoner took advantage of the opportunity to also hit a guard, knocking him to the ground and hit him with a chain. Sensing an impending riot, another guard activated the crush pit, flipping it over so that the chains around the prisoner's feet pulled him towards it. The guy quickly fell down and was torn to death within seconds. At that moment, Hatch signaled to someone hiding and a guard was suddenly shot from afar. He then teams up with the prisoners to begin attacking their captors. A guard used the machine again to activate other chains, causing other prisoners to fall into the hole and die. With the guard distracted, Kai rushes to the machine and tries to stop the massacre, but the chain begins to pull him too. He grabbed the gun that fell to the ground and pulled it back with the rope to no avail, so he had no choice but to lose a leg. As the chain tore through his limbs, Kai returned to the machine and finally stopped it. One last guard tried to get up and Hatch used his gun to signal the hidden sniper to quickly kill him. Kai then passes out. Sometime later, Kai wakes up in Hatch's ship and discovers that he has been given a mechanical prosthetic. Hatch uses a device to retrieve the object prisoner out of Kai's mouth and explains that he saved the other rebels to reform his army and counterattack. He knew Kai's father, who also fought for the rebellion. Unfortunately, Kai's father was captured by General Lang, and he was to be executed in a few months, on the anniversary of Lang's victory, known as Liberation Day. Hatch knows Kai is an expert pilot, so he offers him a deal. Kai must hijack an important enemy ship to recover secret data. If successful, Hatch will come find him and use this information to save his father. So Kai agrees. Kai was then put into a state of suspended animation and taken aboard an enemy ship called the Arrowhead. Midway through the journey, Kai woke up early as planned and found a computer to access the ship's archives. On the radio, Hatch explains that all Kai has to do is plug the device in and the glove will do all the work. As Kai downloaded the information, a message appeared on the screen informing him that the system would be vulnerable if he continued. Kai told Hatch, who assured him it was only temporary and everything would be fine. The red light turns on but Kai continues to download until the computer reports that the system is offline and there is unstable electromagnetic activity outside. Once the download is complete, Hatch confirms that there is an electromagnetic storm outside that is causing instability, so he asks Kai to send him the file. Kai begins the transfer, but suddenly the ship shakes and is damaged by the current breach. The interference causes the transfer to fail and Kai loses contact with Hatch as the ship ejects all the escape pods and the sleeping crew. Kai rushes to the shuttle just before it explodes and is knocked unconscious when it crashes into the nearest planet. When Kai woke up, he tried to contact Hatch but couldn't. He rushed out of the shuttle and saw the eggs falling all over the planet, but suddenly he had trouble breathing and went back inside. The ship's AI named Reef warns Kai that the atmosphere is toxic and that prolonged exposure could cause paralysis or death. Kai looked out the window and saw the Arrowhead slowly falling and asked Reef for a status report. However, Reef asked the staff to log in to continue. Reef said Kai needs to find a new oxygen source because the oxygen supply on the space shuttle is only 12%. Suddenly, a crew member named Oleander sent a message from his module, asking the survivors to meet at the crash site. Kai got his oxygen mask and went to check the area. He found crushed pieces of bark and the body of the oleander bleeding on the ground. There's also an intact cocoon with people moving around inside. So Kai opens it to find Terran. He shares his oxygen mask and takes her back to the shuttle while Oleander's body is dragged away by a mysterious presence. On the shuttle, Terran logs into the system and becomes suspicious of Kai. Reef performs a scan but finds no Arrowhead debris. However, Terran knows the escape parties will leave, so they should find them before they get stuck. Kai follows her after failing to send a message to Hatch. As the duo walked, Terran explained that they were actually on a moon and that the planet was a large sphere they saw in the sky. They eventually find a research probe on the ground and Terran is impressed by how the atmosphere has oxidized the metal. Moments later, They find Arrowhead crashed near a glowing obelisk, and Kai is certain that there was none before. The duo discuss how to proceed when Kai points out that he will not be allowed on the team. Terran realizes that he works for Hatch and mentions that the general was an evil man who attacked the colonies before the war, killing thousands. However, Kai says that it is just propaganda and decides to return to the shuttle. Kai gets into the pilot's seat and asks Reef to activate the flight system, but Reef refuses as Kai is not authorized. Instead, Kai requests an update on Hatch and Reef plays a confessional tape. A video shows Hatch after losing the match, admitting all his crimes, but Kai notices Hatch making a strange gesture and wonders if it's true. He asks Reef for more information, but it is classified. At that moment, Oleander sent a new message saying the evacuation would begin in 30 minutes. Kai then returns to Terran and agrees to go with her despite the risks. Terran pointed out that his clothes would give him away, so he began removing major parts of his uniform while something watched from the shadows. The duo then try to reach Arrowhead, but an earthquake suddenly hits the area. Terran turned around and was shocked to see Kai being dragged into the cave by something. She grabbed his hand and tried to pull him out, but she wasn't strong enough and Kai was taken away. Panicked, Terran ran toward Arrowhead but was too late. The pods had left without her. Not knowing what else to do, Terran returned to the shuttle to rest. For days later, she explored the area and found Kai's gloves and axe on the ground. Not far away, she finds the glowing obelisk and Kai on the ground covered in slime. To his surprise, his leg completely recovered. She takes him back to the shuttle and runs some tests, only to discover that he is now in a symbiotic relationship with another creature that healed him and made him immune to toxic environments. Reef continues to try to feed him information and Terran, annoyed, shushed him, reminding him to only speak when asked. When Kai finally woke up, he explained that he didn't remember anything, only that he was sleeping. Feels a lot heavier but still fine. Terran points out that she also can't fly the shuttle because she's a biologist. Only certain personnel have access to that system. The duo decide to check out the monument and Kai hits it with an axe, discovering that it is actually a soft cocoon. Inside, they find Oleander's body as well covered in slime. They took him back to the shuttle and when Terran touched Oleander's face with his bare hands, he continued to tremble. Kai unties some wires to get the scanner out and they scan Oleander's eyes, which finally gives them access to the flight system. Kai immediately begins preparing his motives while asking Reef about Emancipation Day, knowing that he still has 76 days before his father's execution. Terran is shocked to learn that he won't be taking Oleander with him and realizes that she knows Kai. It turns out he worked for her father when she was a child. She points out that the man she knew back then would never leave anyone behind to die. Outside, Oleander finally wakes up and vomits. Kai and Terran go out to check on him and Oleander starts screaming about how Hatch is going to kill them all. He then picked up a gun from the ground and Kai jumped up and hit him as he fired. After defeating Oleander, Kai returns to find Terran dead. Enraged, he began to beat Oleander. Suddenly, he froze because he realized he had also been shot. His body began to writhe and he passed out on the floor. Some time later, Kai woke up near the memorial, looking completely recovered. After seeing mysterious lights flying in the sky, he returns to the shuttle area and is shocked to see the skeletons of Terran and Oleander. He entered the shuttle and discovered the engine was broken, so he asked Reef for an explanation. It turned out it was missing for 34 days, during which time the engine kept running and eventually burned out. There are 42 days left until Liberation Day. Reef also reveals that while Kai was away, he detected Oleander's heartbeat in the area, meaning he was being revived just like Kai. Curious, he went to the cave and noticed footprints in the sand. When he held out his hand glowed like a memorial, so he decided to leave again. Over the next few days, Kai searched for damaged shells and took their parts to repair the engines. He also collects Terran's ID badge. Reef shows him cartoons while he works. One night, Kai woke up when he heard a strange noise. Suddenly, he began to feel unbearable pain and Reef detected an alarming heartbeat. Kai got out of bed and fell down in pain, interrupting the repairs he was making. Reef points out that he could do worse and asks him to leave. Kai then ran to the cave and heard the same strange noise from before. A scary monster appears. He immediately ran away and fell to his knees in pain as strange limbs grew from his back, knocking him unconscious. Some time later, Kai woke up covered in mucus again and returned to the shuttle. He concludes that fear and pain triggered the transformation and wants to eliminate the creature inside him. Frustrated, he starts the engine and talks about Liberation Day, desperate to save his father. Unfortunately, Reef informs him that he overslept and that Liberation Day was 2 days ago. A crying Kai walked out and fell to the ground, accepting that he was destined to be stuck here forever. 3 years later, Kai is still living on the moon. He trained his body and now, whenever he accidentally gets injured, he can stop the transformation before it happens. In the sky, he could still see mysterious lights flying. One night, he sees something glowing inside the helmet and is excited. He takes it outside and releases a firefly, which, along with other fireflies of its kind, creates a magnificent light show. When he returns to the shuttle, he finds footprints outside and discovers that Terran's badge is missing. When discussing the situation with Reef, the AI shares a theory. He believes that Oleander had a symbiotic relationship like Kai, meaning that he was resurrected but he is trapped in his monster form. Reef suggests that death is now part of Kai's life cycle. The body dies, but their consciousness lives on in the new, replicated body. When Reef asks Kai to erase himself so he can study the body to find a cure, Kai refuses, saying that it is just a hypothesis and his resurrection in a new body is not guaranteed. Later, Kai searches for the Oleander monster and is shocked to find one of his corpses. He brought it back to the shuttle and used it as bait. When the monster got close enough, Kai stepped out and finally shot it. When he heard a roar in the distance, he cut a piece of the monster and brought it to the Reef, who scanned it to confirm that this is indeed the case. Oleander DNA. He also cross-referenced dates and pointed out that roars could be heard each time Oleander or Kai died, meaning something was reacting to their deaths. It sounded like a mother crying for her baby, and perhaps it triggered the rebirth process. Kai didn't understand much because he wasn't a biologist, and hearing that word made Reef mention Terran. When Kai allows the AI to share information, it plays a recording of the night of the shooting. It turns out Terran was unconscious, not dead, and she escaped after Kai died. The skeleton Kai later found was his. Kai is angry that Reef never mentioned that Terran has been alive for 3 years, so Reef has to remind him that he can only share information when prompted. Kai now has a new goal: find Terran. He took parts from the shuttle and built a body for Reef so he could follow him during the search. After much wandering, they reach the cave and Reef attempts to scan the tunnels. However, there is strong electromagnetic interference that is disrupting his system. They decide to follow this strange signal and Kai begins to feel something strange. Since it was dark, he asked Reef to buy something bright, and the AI played a rather loud video. Kai had to run to stop the sound, but it was too late. The creature came out of the darkness and attacked. As Kai dodges the attack, Reef is attacked again and the monster then chases Kai. He quickly bit his arm and Kai took the opportunity to hit him with the axe, killing him. At this moment, the same roar echoed in the cave. Kai followed the light behind and found his original body next to Oleander. After the initial shock, he covered Oleander's face and suffocated him out of pity. This also killed his beast. Now Kai should have done the same with his body, but he couldn't. Instead, he retrieved his prosthetic leg and returned to search for Terran with Reef. Finally, they find where Reef last detected Terran's heartbeat, and Kai can tell that something was thrown to the ground, meaning she managed to escape. Soon after, Reef's monitor began to fail again and Kai realized the cause was his prosthetic leg. He checks inside and finds a pulse grenade, meaning Hatch asks him to send him the file through his gloves as he never intends to get it back. Suddenly, light in the sky began to fall to the ground and Kai rushed forward, only followed them to discover that they were escaped pods, which made no sense because they left 3 years ago and he saw them in the sky every day. This causes Reef to share confidential information. This moon is the subject of a time dilation experiment. Time passed quickly here because this general wanted to find a way to make weapons and soldiers quickly. Years pass on the moon while outside it is only a few minutes. At that moment, Kai saw a ship approaching, so he prepared to explore and search. The ship docked and Hatch exited with a guard. He received Kai's text and it only took 20 minutes, but for Kai it took years. Kai realized it was Hatch who shot him Arrowhead and the pods because he wants to use this moon for his own army. He tells him that all the information is in the shuttle, but Hatch knows he is lying and knocks him unconscious. When Kai wakes up, he is chained in the shuttle and discovers that they also have Terran. When Hatch threatened to kill her, Kai told him that he had withheld all information from the investigation. Next, Hatch goes looking for the probe, and when he finds what he wants, he activates the grenade at Kai's leg. However, Kai predicted this and placed the grenade in the probe, which exploded. At that moment, Kai's body began to glow, and he completely transformed into his monster form. The guard tries to shoot him, but Terran stops him. When Kai gets too close to Terran, Reef appears outside and calls out to him. The creature is covered in blood and destroys the reef at the same time Terran steps out, meaning the blood belongs to the Guardian. With gentle words, Terran approached the creature and told it that he could control it. The beast retreated, and soon Kai returned to his human form. He returned to Terran, and together they mourned Reef. Suddenly, a severely injured Hatch appears and begins shooting Kai before stabbing him. Kai used his monster strength to grab Hatch by the neck and let one of the creature's limbs shoot out to kill him. The duo then manage to reactivate the reef, and they escape on Hatch's ship. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel.